Hi there, and welcome to an introduction for Google Calendar. This is part of DeSales.co and all of our Google apps. So to get there, we can go to calendar.desales.co and we will see our Google Calendar. Now, a couple of things. We have our views over here on the right hand side. We can click on month, for example, and we can move from month to month right here. So let's go to August. Now, on the left hand side, we have my calendars. So these are calendars that I've created for my calendar. Okay, so these are little mini calendars that exist within my entire Google Calendar. Alright, so we can share either of these. Like any of these can be shared to anybody else in the world. They can be made a website, they could be made subscribable, we can put them in emails, we can do all sorts of things. So let's go to other calendars. Now this, if I were to share one of my calendars with you, you would see it in your other calendar section, but it would still show up on this main calendar page. Alright, so here where I have school calendar, now this is the master schedule for the next school year. Okay, I've created the school calendar page. I have imported one by one every event that was on the paper calendar we were given, and I've made them a Google Calendar. So these are all live. So if I wanted to change the way one of these looks, you could click this and see information about what's going on. Okay. Now, if I was to make a calendar, like I did school calendar, and I wanted to share it with somebody, you would hover over and click this arrow, and here's where you see that calendar settings. You can also change its color. So let's say I have it as gray, and let's say I want to make it purple. And you can see that it's changed. Now I want to take it back to gray. And let's say I wanted to share this. So I can go down to share. And this is the share page for my school calendar. These are some people I have shared with it already. And as you can see, you can manage what they're able to do once you've shared it. So for Mr. Stevens here, I have make changes and manage sharing. So he has as full control over that calendar as I have. Even though I started it, we both now have full control. So on his Google Calendar, he sees it. If he makes a change on his side, it changes on everybody's calendar that they have. If I only want to show free or busy, event details, make changes to events, and manage sharing. So this is the most control, and then it goes to least. So if I wanted to send this to another person in the school, let's say I was going to share this with Mr. Jones, I can just start typing here. I can type Jim, and I'm going to see some Jims that are in the building here. And I can click on Jones. So we're going to share it with Jim Jones, see all event details, make changes to events, and manage sharing. He'll get full permission. And if you want to delete anywhere that you have shared before, you can just click the trash can and it'll take it off. Now, I did make this calendar public, so it is viewable as a web page, and I'll show you that. So let's save, and let's go back. Let's go to that calendar settings here. So I can change the name of it if I want to call it something else. You can embed it here in a website, but this is where it's important. So we have this called calendar address. XML, iCal, and HTML. These buttons will make this calendar do different things for you. So let's say, for example, you're going to take a classroom calendar or a sports calendar that you made in your Google Calendar, and you wanted to send it out in an email to parents. And they don't have DeSales email addresses, so they won't be able to get into the calendar, and they might not be able to see every little thing that we're able to. So once the calendar is public, you can come here and you can hit the HTML button. And this generates a web address that you can just right click and copy. Now if you paste that web address into an email message, people will be able to click that and they'll be able to see that calendar. So I'll show you what it looks like here. This is similar to what they'd be able to see. They would be able to see the calendar as a website. And this would work on phones or whatever type of computer they have. It would come right up and they'd be able to see whatever you put on here. And you can also add a location. So St. Francis, DeSales High School, and I'll save. Now, adding events. There's a couple different ways we could do this. You can hit this create button. Let's go back to where today is. We'll do some test events. If we hit a create button, we'll go right to this main dialog where you do it all bit by bit by bit by bit, but let's not do it that way. Okay, so let's say we're going to talk about today. Just click once and it understands language. Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's say I have lunch with Rick at 4 o'clock today, or let's see, well, I guess that's dinner. Lunch with Rick at 4 p.m. All right, so we'll say lunch with Rick at 4 p.m. So it understood where I was going and it automatically formulates it. So if I go to that day, you'll see they put it at 4 to 5 automatically, and that's a default we can set later. So if you want your meetings or whatever you put in to automatically be 30 minutes, we can do that, 45 or an hour, however you want. The second or the third way is to hit this arrow here, which essentially does the same thing. The exception is the first way I showed you where you would click on the day you want, for example. But you can also do it here in a quick add. Let's say this is something that's going on October 16th. So let's say class meeting October 16th at 2 p.m. Okay, so now let's go to October 16th, class meeting at 2 p.m. As you can see, it was right there. So you can use natural language to type and edit in events really, really easy with this. The alternative would be to do things like this, where you would edit it in, you know, bit by bit by bit. But even if you need more advanced details in your event, you can start it quickly and then go to edit. And this is where you can put in reminders, and you can do all sorts of things with repeat, find times, where's it at. But what's interesting is guests. So this is with Rick, right? So let's add him as a guest. I'm going to type Baker, and you'll see the Bakers in the building. So I'm going to type, let's see here. Let's see, Baker at, I'll add him here. So Rick will now get an email saying I'm inviting him to an event. When he gets that email, let's add myself so I can show you what it looks like. So I added myself as an attendee. I will save, and I will go to my Gmail. So we have lunch with Rick. Now, on my calendar, I added myself as a guest. So if this was, imagine this was another person's calendar. This was Rick's calendar. They get an email message saying I invited them. And on their calendar, if they're at the calendar, they'll see this. They'll see an event pop up with an arrow. And they click it, and you'll have respond, yes, maybe, no, or delete. So I'm going to go. So I hit yes. And if this was Rick's calendar and the other was mine, we would now have the same event on both calendars. So it's a way to bring in people for meetings and all sorts of things. Now there's one more thing I can show you, and we have to go to Week View to see this. Now, let's say we were going to do some sort of parent-teacher conferences or student meetings for work, anything like that. Here's something that's neat we could do. So we would click once, and now you see where it says appointment slots. We can click this here, and let's say student meeting, and you would say what calendar it's for. So if it's for my computer science class, I could put that, and I can say offer slots of 5 minutes, and we can hit create. Okay, so I have from 1 to 2 p.m. I have appointment slots every 5 minutes. So let's go into event details. Now, here is the appointment page. This is a page that anybody can see. Alternatively, what you can do is, if it's for a class, for example, you can start typing in your students' names. They would be the dot numbers. So you could start inviting students specifically to this event, and they would see it on their Google Calendar as well. Now let's click on this link. So if you send this out, you will see these appointments here. Okay, these are slots, so anybody can accept an appointment. So let's say I'm going to go right here. I click it. What is it? Who are you? Where? And description. So I say yes, that's me, and I booked the appointment, and now it's set. So if you are, so let's say that it was a parent that did that. We can go back to our calendar, and if you heard my phone just go off, I had on my iPhone, it came up and said that I have a student meeting at 1:10 on that day. So it relayed, my Google Calendar relayed it to my iPhone and my iPad saying that I have a meeting that day. So it's an interesting way that you can manage the time in your classroom, and we could do this with our Google Calendar because remember, every single student will have, now this is the one I took here, so I'm going to say cancel appointment and notify guests, and then delete this. Okay, so that's where we're at. Now, to add a coworker's calendar, let's say any of these people may have a calendar on that page. You can add it that way. We can email links to each other to subscribe to calendars. We also have an agenda view. We can go to the gear here, and we can make our calendar, let's go back to month, we can make it nice and compact, or more spacious, and we can go into settings. And here we can say, this is where I was speaking about earlier, default meeting length, 15, 30, or 60. We might do 30 minutes. And you can edit all types of different settings. So default view, I need month. Location, let's say Columbus, Ohio. Save. And we have a mini calendar. It's not very useful. But that's the absolute basics of calendar. And I think if there was one more thing I could tell you, it's drag and drop able too. So let's say this 3:30 practice, it was actually on a Tuesday. I can just pick this up and drop it on Tuesday, and it's moved. Now, if anybody subscribed to that calendar, they would see that move where I just moved it to. So it keeps everybody in motion here. Nothing is static. Everything's living. Okay? So this would work for your classes too. And I think that is about it for Google Calendar. Thanks for watching.